Hey, what's up, guys? We're C Forte.
And you're listening to Cabbages, a hip hop podcast. Seriously. Gary, things aren't always what they seem in this world of broken dreams. Gary, tell me what to do. I'm trying hard to make it through. I'm looking to you, Gary. Don't turn your back. Because in my heart and my soul, I believe that I am a class act.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Work that body, Gary.
Is this fucking like Check It
Work
Out with
that
Dr. Steve
body.
Brule? Is this we're opening with a fucking
Class
poem?
act! Listen.
Okay. All right. No,
So I have to start with a retraction.
Oh, okay.
I
yeah, sure. Go ahead.
mistakenly quoted this movie at 21% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mhm.
But it is in fact a 17.
Oh, it is.
It
It's a
is even
17.
worse than 21. That said, it's going to be even more surprising when I win the episode, hands down.
Oh, I don't really think that's a given. I know you.
I mean,
have
this
a lot
gives
of
you a chance to
confidence.
retract your wrong-headed trimmers.
Yeah, nice try. No, we are in a place where
Establishes a precedent. is what
I'm
saying.
still winning. I'm not retracting shit. We have some really good guests ahead for this one. You know, we're watching this movie, and it's Kid and Play.
Do you think you have a chance to win this?
Yes, of course I do. Of course I do.
Gary, I don't.
This movie is Swiss cheese. The plot holes alone. No.
Well, of course it's a bad movie, Gary. The whole point of this is that it's a bad movie.
Yes, exactly.
But this particular one is a very good bad movie.
No, I recognize that you're feeling really good about fucking Gotti Week. Congratulations on picking the right side in a movie that had a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. Like,
thank you. I appreciate
kudos to you.
It took me a couple weeks to get there.
Yeah, well, I think that this is a bit presumptuous of you to just assume that these guys are going to like this movie. And I can tell you right now, I can tell you.
Presumptuous. Oh.
That sounds like a character in this movie. It sounds like one of the fucking horny teachers in this movie.
This is the principal.
Yeah. It's fucking like just.
That guy had so many bats. Why did he have so many bats?
And why was the bat that he pulled out for Kid, who he thought was the
right
criminal?
Duncan
Why was it a black?
Pendergrass.
Why was it a black bat that he pulled out for him?
Oh man, he picked up a tan bat and
then
was like, "Nope, I'll beat him with a black bat."
From his selection of bats, like based on the color of the skin of his students. Jesus Christ, what the fuck is going on in this movie? It's just so many things. This is why I don't have confidence in this film.
You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. There's so much good stuff in this film. Dougie Doug alone is enough to make it a good bad movie.
Dougie Doug is incredible. Well, we're gonna definitely spend some time talking about Dougie Doug, but I think that you are going to be blindsided by the truth of this film. The truth is
the truth.
The truth of this film is that it's fucking filthy, inappropriate.
Are you Alex
cringe.
Suarez or Gary Jones?
You know that if it was filed for bankruptcy today?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was the big news again. It dates the episode. I'm sorry, guys, but InfoWars filed for bankruptcy today. And that was just
because of bad views, like Class Act is a bad movie. That's why.
No, I think it had to do with
trutherism.
I think it had to do with Sandy Hook.
That makes a lot of sense actually.
As I sat, in my breakfast nook eating my poached egg, I was just tickled by that news today. If you're gonna make fun of me using
saying things like presumptuous.
Exactly. If you're gonna make fun of me for using words like presumptuous, I'm gonna pretend that I have a breakfast nook and that I had a poached egg for breakfast instead of fucking like
Class Act. Work that body. Work that body. Class Act.
We'll be right back.
Class Act. Work that body.
Hello, and welcome to the Cabbages Hip Hop Podcast. I'm your host, Gary Suarez. I'm a music journalist and critic, and I write a twice-weekly hip hop newsletter called Cabbages, which you can subscribe to for free at cabbageshiphop.com. Joining me as always is my co-host, music industry insider Jeffrey Laughlin. It's season 4 of the podcast, and Jeff and I are engaged in bad movie battle. We're discussing cinematic flops, cult calamities, and all-around stinkers, trading off every episode to pick disreputable films with great guests joining along the way. And so today, we're talking about Class Act, the 1992 kid and play comedy of which Roger Ebert said, quote, takes a fairly radical idea and turns it into a sitcom. Couldn't agree more, Roger. Couldn't agree more. Now, we'll get into the show in just a minute, but please, if you're listening and you haven't done this already, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. And if you could rate the show 5 stars, that would be even better. If you do all that and write a review, we would be entirely in your debt. Thank you. I'm so excited to introduce our guest for today's show. Joining us now is C-FORTE. Last year, the Orlando-based rap duo of Joe Forte and Carshawn Davenport dropped the EP-length Don't Trip, available wherever music is streamed or sold. They're currently hard at work on their forthcoming album project, Grind Time Live. Hello, and welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having us.
Now, before we get into this week's movie, I heard...
what movie is that, Gary?
It's a little movie
Class Act.
You're just jumping right into this. Okay.
Class Act.
I heard you guys went to college for film studies. You guys were film studies majors.
It's the first thing you hear when the movie starts. They just hit you with that hook,
like right away, and
then you get hit over and over and over.
Yeah, dude.
I love that song so much.
Anytime it came on, I was just like getting it. I was like, "Fuck yeah, it's back! It's back."
Song is great.
It took me way longer than I'm proud to admit that I didn't realize that was like a song for the movie. I was
for the movie.
Yeah, I was like, they definitely made this song for the movie. Like embarrassingly far into the movie.
The first time we watched it, because we watched it twice for this show, the first time we watched it, I had no idea what the words of the song were because I think I had one too many edibles, and I was not quite in my own head for that first viewing of it, so I couldn't quite figure out what was happening. And Jeff kept texting me Class Act in all caps and Work That Body in all caps over and over again, and I couldn't understand why he was saying that.
Yeah, I know, it's the film.
Work that body.
Oh, work that body.
Yeah, it's also like super sexual, the theme. If you read the lyrics.
I watched the video just now before we started this, and it's like,
oh damn,
it's like that the Britney Spears one where she's dressed up like a schoolgirl.
Oh, Hit Me Baby.
It's like that. It's like totally that. And she's just like in a bra,
as it should be,
dancing around, just being like, work that body. It's incredible. It's an incredible, and of course they have like mostly clips from the movie where kid and play accidentally run into each other in a scene over and over again. It's great.
Oh, well, I know what I'm doing immediately after we hang up now.
Yes.
So you guys went to college for film studies? Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we did.
I guess on track.
Yeah. We both went to school up in North Jersey and studied film. And it was quite the time.
It was. And I mean, we work in television now for like our day jobs outside of music. So we kind of like stayed in the industry.
Did you expect that your education would get you to the point where you'd be able to be on a podcast where you could be expert panelists on the films of Kid and Play?
No,
if I knew then what I know now.
I'm gonna send an email. I was gonna call out a professor by name, and then I was like, no, people. Actually,
oh God, yeah, don't do that.
Never mind. Scratch that segment.
But you guys rewatched the House Party movies recently, yeah?
Oh yeah. It's wild because honestly, I've only ever seen the first one in its entirety. The sequels, I was like, oh, couldn't get through it. I don't know why.
You weren't ready for the pajama jammy jam?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. You want to know something crazy? Actually, I think that Class Act was better than House Party. That's controversial. I feel like that's controversial.
I think it's a hot take, but I agree.
Oh, this is
they're like my heart.
It's ever happened to me.
Oh shit!
The Finally, I have people that agree with me.
Well, guys, it was great having you on. We'll sure to invite you back some other time. Connection's not that good today on the Zoom.
I was just about to say, I'm so sorry he's going to kick you off the show.
I don't know. And it's crazy because I saw House Party when I was really young and I loved it. Like, I'm dating myself, but like, I was like a kid when I watched it for the first time and I was like, oh, this is like dope, right? It's like everyone's fantasy. Go to a house party, you become the star. It's super cool. And then when we rewatched it, because we threw actually a 90s themed party for C's birthday, and we kind of did all the visual aesthetics to match like the house party, like logos and stuff. So we rewatched it and I was like, I actually don't think it's that good of a film. Like, it kind of almost doesn't make sense.
You know who's phenomenal in it is Robin Harris.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like he was the highlight of the rewatch for me. And I was reminded just a lot of like how sort of just like straight ahead the movie was. It really does just kind of go hour to hour on like what is happening around this party.
Yeah.
And there's the backstory is just kind of explained to you like, oh yeah, this guy's mom died because someone mentioned it.
Yeah, it's almost all thrown away.
Yeah.
I do love a good kid and play performance though. Whenever they just like bust it down, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, they're about to bring it.
See, rewatching House Party last night had the opposite effect for me. It's like we did the second watch of Class Act and then went right into that House Party rewatch, and which I hadn't watched in years. But and I was just like, this movie is amazing because you just got like Robin Harrison, you got like John Witherspoon, like just doing their acts basically, and Kid and Play are so
Martin Lawrence too to a degree.
Martin Lawrence for sure.
More of a character, obviously.
Yeah, but like Kid and Play were so cartoonish in Class Act that to see them saying things that felt like things people would actually have said in 1990 as they did in the House Party, that was just so much more rewarding. And also, it's just funny to me that they were already in their mid-20s at that point, playing high school kids.
I know. I was like, it doesn't.
He was 28. Play was 28.
Oh wow! What? I'm 28.
No, but in Class Act, like they were like 30. They were like Play was 30 in Class Act.
30, yeah, because first House Party came out in 90, right?
90. Then Part 2 came out in 91, and then this came out in 92.
Damn.
They were truly on fire.
Well, it was a moment for them. It was a big deal. Like there was a lot happening with them in the music. And then that movie was like, look, the first House Party movie was a huge success. It was like a budget of like $2.5 million. So like nothing. And then like it did like 10 times that. It was like 26 million to the box office for an R-rated comedy.
Oh, wow.
Like it was such one. And then like the second one, when it came out in 91, the budget was doubled. It was 5 million and it did 4 times of it. It did like $19 million to the box office. Again, R-rated. And like, it just says a lot that they were absolutely on a roll with being able to just like be themselves and promote their music at the same time. And everything that was happening with them, it was just
Do they have the longest streak in Hollywood history of being in a movie and being able to do a whole rap song in the movie?
I mean, I
don't know of any other rappers that got to rap in all of their movies.
Jeff, I don't know if 2 years is a streak, right?
They had 5 House Party movies.
They're not in all of them.
They're only in 4 of them, right? The 5th one is like
only 4.
Because like they rap in the Home Alone 3 situation. Like they're not even in it. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they don't rap in
5 because they're not even
5. But they definitely don't rap in like 3 or 4.
They probably definitely rap in 3.
I think they rap in 3.
So that means 4 straight years where they could release a movie and have a whole rap song they perform while being the actors. That's got to be a record.
And it's all like positive. Like they really rap those positive vibes.
Yeah, they were going so hard for that family friendly aesthetic.
That's one thing I didn't realize until watching Class Act is that they were just very like not trying to be the like typical rap gangster rap that was out. They were really like, you know, like do good, respect women. Like
I mean,
don't do drugs. Don't do drugs.
I was gonna say the whole final song in Class Act is like that anti-drug like anthem that they have.
Even like Play is kind of rapping about how he's like, I don't know if I go like teetotaler like this, you know, asshole, but you know, there are things you need to do in life that aren't wrapped around drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the weakest stance I think I've ever heard of in my life. Like, you should be able to do drugs when you're off of work.
Like lifting a
Right.
bowl to my mouth just as that song came on. And
I got like, well, Gary, I knew Gary had never seen it.
Uh-huh.
And that song is so special. Like the way that we're supposed to believe that one kid cannot rap at all until he
they don't even practice.
Has never walked
dancing
down a rhyme. I mean, maybe he has because he's a nerd and he likes poetry or something, but it's not explained that way.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think they were going for the
kid who is, you know, Blade Brown is known as this like rap dude too.
Right.
Somehow, but that's explained like in the first Pauly Shore scene. But
no, don't fucking bring up Pauly Shore. We are way too early.
Pauly Shore came out of nowhere. Pauly Shore literally came out of fucking nowhere.
He was a delight.
Was like, what? First of all, I love Pauly Shore. Don't get me wrong. Pauly Shore is the fucking tits.
Pauly Shore, we forgive you for Biodome.
We do.
Oh God.
Specifically because of this movie.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, right?
This was your redeeming ticket.
He was like getting it up there.
No, when he shows up on screen, and again, I told you my first viewing, I had one edible too many.
I was just like just smashing bong hits as each scene started, and I was like, oh God, Gary's gonna hate this. Oh God, like I had forgotten Pauly Shore was in it until about 5 minutes before. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, this is gonna be incredible. And Gary's reaction had everything I needed.
My body was not ready. My body was not ready for it.
He wasn't ready for it at all.
I had the same exact reaction. I was like, what the fuck is Pauly Shore doing on screen right now?
Yeah, right.
There's just no reason for him to be in this movie at all. No, it's all right. He shows up, and that's the point where you know that this movie is officially off the fucking rails.
Yes.
100%. After, I swear to God, as soon as he shows up, the best part of the movie begins. Mm-hmm. The final act, which is just a giant.
You mean the second hour cartoon. Of this movie? Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah, I did notice that the pacing like changes about halfway through the film, like hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of a sudden it is an action comedy.
We gotta speed it up.
Yeah, exactly.
There are guns, car chases, like it becomes an action comedy.
The one shot where they're all like on the payphones calling their moms to tell them why they stayed out so late. I love that shot. It's all one shot when it like pulls out.
And Uncle Theopolis.
Yeah. He said, put a cup to your ear. Put a cup to the phone.
That seems incredible.
Like, oh shit. And the fact that it was, I don't know, I'm still blown away the fact that they did it in one shot. They just like pulled out and then pushed back in when he jumped in the car. I was like, fuck yeah, that's cool. And they all were on point acting wise.
You know what caught me so off guard was like, obviously we're learning about each girl that they're interested in. And the one girl is like, oh, I work at the Wax Museum. I genuinely thought that was going to be like a one-off. Oh, that's just a moment. And then like such a pivotal scene to take place, not just like in it, but like a complete top to bottom exploration of the entire blueprint of that building. Like
schematics and all. Okay.
For real.
But like,
you know what
events at one part.
So they're running away from like the bad guys, like, right? And then she goes, yo, I know a shortcut. Like, bitch, a shortcut to where? You're running there.
Where are we going?
Yeah, I was like, what are you? Is it a race? Like,
oh my God, it's the most Scooby-Doo thing ever without Scooby-Doo actually jumping out on the screen and being like, row.
Well, that was the one moment where I was just high as fuck when I was watching it. And I was like, it's like Harold and Kumar when the scissors hit the floor.
Oh my God.
They run into, that is an apt comparison. They run into a whole area that's like a subway. It looks really interesting. I kind of want to see what the wax sculptures are on the subway. And then everybody runs in and immediately smash cut, they run out. Right. There's no more explanation of what happened. Do they run into each other? Nothing. Everyone's just fine and still running.
Yeah, and it's like like half a second in between. I looked at it, I was like, that can't work the way they think it does.
The final scene starts.
It's a move.
It starts with them realizing, the bad guys are here, which like, how like they were just waiting for the bad guys to get there.
Right?
You just go and like rest. You don't call anybody. You don't try to like get a parent involved. Like you just called your parents to tell them everything's fine.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
right.
Go hide at a wax museum.
Yeah, but like
wait for gunmen.
wait
Armed
for-
gunmen to come in and kill you.
You're waiting for Mink and Wedge to come fucking murder you.
Murder you.
And it just
Literally.
there's a reason why it goes fucking full Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
And the reason why it does that, the reason why this
Oh, no.
movie is so constructed in such an odd way, where the first half feels like a very different movie than the second half, is that the people who the screenplay are credited to, Cynthia Friedlob and John Semper, their prior and subsequent writing work is for children's television.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
wrote for
wow.
like they both wrote for Fraggle Rock and the Storks. One of them
Yeah.
literally wrote Scooby-Doo episodes.
Mhm.
Holy shit.
Cool.
And they're also the same duo behind 1990s short-lived eponymous Kid and Play Saturday morning cartoon.
Damn.
They got a
damn.
cartoon?
You didn't know what the Kid and Play cartoon?
I
No,
didn't know
yeah,
about the
dude.
Kid and Play
Like,
cartoon.
And they're teenagers in that too, which is kind of weird.
13 episodes. Didn't
Because
last
they're
long.
like 35 by that point.
No,
Wow.
it's before
That's so
this.
wild.
It's before this.
Oh, it's
Mhm.
before this?
It's 2 years
Yeah, it was
before
like that.
fucking Class Act.
I had no. Oh, so
Yeah.
they were only 25.
Wasn't it like right after House Party?
It was right after House Party, and it was their way of starting to like make them more accessible to a younger audience who would become interested because House Party was such a success.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I read somewhere that like the Fresh Prince was like Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff were supposed to be in House Party. Like they wrote it for that,
I absolutely could see that.
right?
It makes perfect sense.
That's a really interesting thing to consider. Like, think Will Smith takes that role in 1990.
Mhm.
How does that affect the trajectory of both his and Kid and Play's career going? Like, what is that alternate?
Not to
Right.
mention if Jazzy Jeff is Martin Lawrence's character,
Oh,
Yeah.
true.
like
Yeah, because
90%.
it was that DJ rapper persona.
Yeah, we watched Class Act and House Party back to back last night,
Yeah.
which means we watched the genesis of Martin. Essentially.
Mhm.
We were actually literally just talking about that a couple hours ago. It's like when you're
Yeah.
watching those run of movies, Kid and Play are the biggest stars by like a large margin at that time. And to
Yeah.
think that just slightly after it, Martin materializes and just absolutely launches basically everyone in that cast to like
Huge.
superstardom.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
kind of eventually just waver off. It's like try telling someone in like 1990 that like that guy that was in the first
The
House Party
DJ.
is gonna be- yeah,
Fucking-
exactly.
Dragon Breath is going to be the biggest fucking comedy star in the world.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it's just mind blowing.
Completely insane how that worked out.
And it is. It's like, honestly, like, so Class Act comes out in 92, which is the same year that Martin debuts.
Right.
Like, so
Right.
it's 2 years between House Party and Martin. Most of the core cast of Martin are in the House Party movies and Class
Yep.
Act.
Yeah.
You got Martin, you got Tisha Campbell.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like,
I forget Tom. Is Tommy's real name Tommy?
it's
Martin.
Thomas Michael Ford.
Oh, maybe. He's
Like, you
the
got-
bad guy in Class Act.
Yeah, Mink in Class Act. Like all these people who just would become these stars, like momentarily, basically. But
No,
at that time,
Mink-
yeah, Kid and Play were the stars.
Mink
Mhm.
is truly, this is one of my favorite parts of the film. Mink is truly going to shoot this man over like this high school kid, as we're supposed to believe.
Mhm.
He's going to kill Wedge over like $30 worth of drugs.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and also like maybe I missed the part. When were the drugs stolen? I like that's a dot I never
Okay.
connected.
So there's a scene where Wedge runs down the hallway after Popsicle,
Uh-huh.
puts Popsicle up against the wall, which bears one of my other favorite really stupid jokes where he's coming up with a litany of like bad things that happened to him, but really he just bought shoes with the money.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Comes down, he's
yeah.
got brand new
Zooming
forces
the
on.
price
And
tag.
it comes back. Yeah, it's an amazing shot for no reason whatsoever. And he is withholding money from Wedge, and then Wedge gets beat up
Okay.
by the henchman again.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So like however much drugs, we don't know exactly how much, but however much drugs
Popsicle bought is the money.
With shoe money is the amount that, a pair of forces, he's going to blow this kid's head off. This kid's probably 19.
They did not like freak out enough when the gun came out.
Yeah.
Right.
I was
the
like,
two henchmen are both looking at him like, for real, dude? We're doing this here? I'm an accomplice to murder?
Yeah, right.
over $100?
Yeah, in 1990, a pair of Air Forces, just as a frame of reference, were $89.
$89. He was going to shoot this kid in the face.
Wow.
That's part of the problem with this film to me, is just like the tonal shifts are so dramatic. Is like you have these like scenes that are like the woodshop scene, which is like one of my least favorite things. I hate this part of the movie so much.
I did too.
Because it raises so many things about it's one of the two scenes that this film is like depends on that's truly terrible. And it's like it's this terrible scene, which is like, first of all, he sands his ass on the sander.
Yeah, right.
By just like without explaining anything of what's happening. And then he eventually pulls the fucking drill out on him. And then like that whole thing happens. And it's like, what the fuck am I watching?
How do you get your points across, Gary? Well-formed sentences? That's ridiculous.
And it creates one of the,
and you get what you want.
It creates one of the parts that one of the real big questions for me is like, that scene is set up to make kid be terrified of play in this. But yet, like 2 days later, he's taunting play in a nightclub because like he's got on some new clothes and he's got a haircut.
No, he's got the love of a good woman, Gary.
You know what I think it is?
The best Demita is awesome.
It's almost like he's starting to actually like come into like fill the shoes of I forget their freaking names, but like of Kid's character, I guess.
Of Blade Brown.
And so that so he's trying
he's
to
kind of becoming
the more bossed up guy, and he's like, oh, I gotta play the part now because that's what he wants. But he's really feeling himself. He's like, yeah, this is cool, actually.
And I think he's also smart enough to realize that Blade needs him to pass the classes so badly that he can't really kill him right now. You know what I mean? Like, he needs someone to pass the classes.
I guess. I mean, the whole thing just plays out like a 3-part episode of Glass. Oh, I
just was waiting.
I stopped recording like an hour ago. We're good.
As soon as I said I like this better, he was like, click.
This episode will never air.
The lost episode.
The friends we made along the way.
The other terrible scene in this film that this movie depends on is the photo mix-up. Just like how that all plays out. Like I just sit at that whole thing going like, no, this is so fucking stupid. Why is this happening? And then it shifts to like violence in the wood shop. And I'm like, after these two scenes, there's like zero reason for these two people to ever be friends. The only explanation I can think of is Stockholm Syndrome. That's it.
Also, I love that those two scenes are like sandwiched between a bit that never really comes back, which is like the principal's secretary is furiously horny for all the children. Like that's in between those two scenes. She's like,
there's some people willing to risk it all in this movie for kids. Rhea Perlman is also ready to put it down. On Blade Brown. Duncan Penderhughes, I guess.
No, who she thinks is Duncan Penderhughes.
Right, exactly.
Why is she so fucking horny on Maine for what's supposed to be a teenage boy?
Exactly.
Goddamn genius.
Look, it's hard to get mad when the person sitting in the seat is 30.
But the whole conceit is that they're children. The conceit is that they're teenagers. That, Gary.
I understand.
But don't get me wrong. I think this is a weirdly horny teaching staff. I really do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Even the dad, like his dad, when he goes and sees him having sex at the end, he's he's doing it with this fine girl. Like, and it's like, bro, you're like,
that's your kid,
dad, and you're telling the girl he's having sex with that's like a teenager. You're like, oh, she's hot. Like,
but then like the mom gets horny too, and they like fuck.
Why are kids' parents turned on by kid having sex?
I took a couple notes when I watched this last night, and the last note in my document is end scene with his parents was weird as fuck. Why are they horny over their kid?
Yeah, dude.
We also said the same. It's really weird what the inversion of like the normal thing in the movie is that like the like criminal kid is going to have a mom that they get in lots of fights and crazy things are happening at home.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then the other place is like peaceful and they're very good to their kid. But there's this weird inversion there where like the privileged dad is like a homophobic dick.
So
Yeah, dude.
Who has like
Super
no need to be in the
homophobic.
movie whatsoever, except to say, I really don't want my son to be gay.
Yeah, to like just wedge in a few gay jokes in there.
Awful. Just like
But
an
that's the
awful
time.
character. The scenes are pointless. They're just pointless and also really creepy and awful.
like
Yeah, it did definitely.
Why are they in there?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so mean-spirited and dumb.
and the homophobia is like, it's like, well, because like after like watching House Party back to back, like House Party has some homophobic moments, particularly
Totally.
like, you know, hard F in terms of slurs, but like
Right.
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I'm like, that was an R-rated movie. You could not to justify it, but you could say, is an R-rated movie, people are going to say things like that.
Right.
This was PG-13, so somebody decided that this was acceptable for a 13-year-old to be like to go and see this.
Right.
And
It's
be okay
a massive mark.
Be okay with a 13-year-old to go see this and be okay with a hugely homophobic set of parents, and then all the teachers at the school want to fuck the teenagers.
Yeah, dude.
Like all that shit is just like, why is this a PG-13 movie?
Right. It was funny because actually C and I were talking the other day. We also just recently watched Bring It On from 2000.
Oh wow, yeah.
And
Classic.
that also has a lot of strangely out of pocket homophobic scenes in it, like hard F left and right. And I was like, we were talking about how it just really shows the evolution of I guess like acceptability in the way things are presented in media, because like they're throwing it away for laughs and Bring It On. Like that is the joke. And it just
that was early 2000s. Like that was like
I just checked. It came out in 2000. But yeah, Gary, like you said, just like it feels really mean-spirited. And I'm like, wow, okay, I guess media was just radically different. Even just
there was that. There was certainly the difference of the media. There's also, you know, thing with 90s rap where if you're sitting around listening to 90s rap, you're gonna catch some homophobia somewhere in there.
For sure.
Lot of cases.
But I just never associated Kid and Play with that. Like,
same. Like, you know, you go back and rewatch and there is a lot.
Yeah. I think because it was the idea is that there were certain things that were permissible. That, I mean, there's still some of it. I mean, let's not mince words. Like there's a lot of it that's still permissible now.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Like major label rap artists being homophobic. Yes, still to this day.
Pop rap has not turned away from that.
No, it's still a target for it.
Very
like,
much
so. Like
great.
we've kind of looked watching the movies that we watch, because we watch a lot of bad movies, and that's the whole point of this season. Like we've gotten to the point where like we basically just what's going to be the racist thing we see in a movie, what's going to be the sexist thing, what's going to be the homophobic thing, what's the anti-Asian stereotype, like what's going to be the anti-Latino stereotype, like what are those things? We're like watching for them in these movies now.
Yeah.
The one saving grace of this film is that because the cast is predominantly Black, you lose a lot of the overt racist stuff that came out in comedies of the 1990s, including PG-13 movies.
Right.
Like I'm gonna give a credit to this film in the fact that the way that it handles white people is stunning, because it is actually, there's some really sharp satire in the mix here. The way in which the principal,
them getting the names wrong over and over again in the wax museum is incredible.
Oh yeah, that's a great recurring joke.
Oh no,
I loved that.
The wax museum joke, but that obviously Colonel Sanders on it. That's Willie Nelson. That's fucking funny. But I'm saying like in terms of sharp satires, the way the principal, the white principal, acts towards each of them based on what he sees on the file and makes judgment calls.
Yep. The cop coming into the jail cell, you know, the juvie guy.
Yeah, right.
Riker or whatever his name was.
Riker.
Coming in and saying, "You're all free to go," and then giving them a speech anyway, is like the most, like, I have heard that speech from cops. Like that's like the most cop thing of all time. It's like, you guys were around trouble somehow. I know it.
Right.
fuck you. Like, I'm free. Get out of my way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nothing to do with you anymore.
There's like the sort of serious things that get brought in there. Then, of course, you have like characters with names like Skip Wankman, you know, which after watching like nearly 2 hours of horny teachers wanting to fuck their
that was, first of all, that's like 4 minutes of the film. Get out of here.
Look, I mean, do you know
I will say emotionally it feels like more.
Yeah, seriously.
I'll agree with you.
We're talking about trauma today on Damages. Today we're talking about trauma.
Work that body.
Jesus.
Work that body.
Do you know why
nobody has sung Class Act? No, I feel like we have to do something.
Probably do, yeah. Do you know why Rhea Perlman is in this movie?
No, and I was actually wondering that.
Okay, so I have an answer for that because that was the question that I texted in all caps to Jeff while rewatching this. I was like, why is she?
I didn't make a
move.
move.
So like Rhea Perlman at that time was like in Cheers. She'd been on Cheers for a while. She was like a fucking TV star. Why is she in this movie for like 2.5 minutes, like wanting to fuck play? And the answer is simple. She's the director's cousin.
Oh, wow.
That's why she's in the movie. There's no other reason. No other reason why she's there.
Who directed this?
The director's name is Randall Miller. You won't be surprised to know that prior to Class Act, he had never directed a full-length feature film.
Oh,
this is a running thing with this show.
No
we get a whole lot of first timers.
So this was his first feature-length movie. He had been like, I think one of the producers had seen a short that he had done and tapped him for this. So you're dealing with a inexperienced director, a screenplay written by children's writers who still found plenty of time for homophobia into there. And Randall Miller, the director, he went on to do a direct House Guest with Phil Hartman and The Sixth Man. Then he did a bunch of TV stuff, and then he did that much maligned CBGB's biopic.
Oh,
so
boy, talk about a career.
That's a career.
That is a career in media.
So there's a reason why this movie is 17% on Rotten Tomatoes, because look what they started with. They didn't even give this movie a shot. But you had this charisma of Kid and Play.
Oh, good casting.
This thing, but the casting was built in, is baked in.
Pootie Tang is in this movie.
Pootie Tang is in this movie. Not as Pootie Tang, but Pootie Tang is in this movie.
You've got a great soundtrack. Pootie Tang, one of the people from Martin, one of the people from Fresh Prince, Kid and Play.
Oh yeah, Hillary.
Was a jam.
I gotta say, I really do think that in terms of just performance, Kid and Play have developed as actors by this point. Like, I think they really pull off their individual performances better than the earlier films. And I think that's kind of what struck me the first time, was like the subtle shift of them each kind of, for all its faults, the subtle shift of them kind of finding a little bit of the other person in themselves was done in a way that I really didn't feel like was like that heavy handed. And
I said the same thing.
It gave them some good moments where they got to like actually act.
I look, some of the sight gags and some of the like throwaway jokes, because this is like a long comedy.
Right.
And like one of my favorite things in the whole film is something that probably wouldn't have happened earlier in their career. But when they introduced Duncan Penderhughes over the intercom as like joining the debate team or whatever that was, the game show team. And everyone's clapping and they're looking at him. And so he just starts clapping because he has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
He's like, yay! He doesn't give a shit at all.
Like,
talking about him.
Good for him.
And, things like that where they were zany when they weren't.
But the fucking nerd quiz that happens at the end of this thing, like the final, speaking of fucking horny on Maine, like the final trivia question answer on a teenage trivia debate show, the final answer is to die is to have a sexual orgasm. And against an all-girls Catholic school.
He recites the answer staring at the partner next to him, just like staring means to.
But the funniest part is it's supposed to read as an emotional moment where he recalled something she had taught him, which like for me is like funny and him like coming on to her,
He learned a phrase, for fuck's sake.
That's the accomplishment.
The bar is low.
It is low. Blade Brown was a jerk.
Dude, Blade Brown,
he was.
He was a real jerk, and he turned it around with the love of a good woman.
Exactly.
And
he was a dead flower, dude. Came back to life.
Which is sexy, apparently.
It is.
At least she didn't have to change for him, you know? They reverse greased it.
Yeah.
Reverse greased it.
Oh, that's great.
Oh God, that's perfect.
That's good. That's great. That's a great line. Class act.
Work that body. I also love that. Look, I also love that the Demita had her own theme song.
Oh
yeah.
Blade Brown had a theme song. The stupid synthy for the bad guys. Oh man, like too few movies have different soundtracks for different characters.
Exactly. That's like, that's such good stuff.
This movie gets music right. It definitely does. Like, you get like fucking
like
Shabba Ranks, Moni Love. You get Hammered twice.
2 hammers.
I think it's the same Hammer song twice, right?
It's the same song both times.
It's great.
We're going to pay for a second Hammer song.
They're like, it's too expensive. We're just going to play it twice.
Just run it back.
Use a different part. Use a different part.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like the music is so well done in this. And then they devoted an entire song to Pauly Shore as the Weasel.
Oh my God.
Like,
so that was another case where they just had a comedian on, the comedian just did his act.
Yeah.
And their reaction to him asking if they'll perform one song at this weird talent show, I guess it was.
How the fuck did Pauly Shore know anything about their talents in this movie? Nobody had seen their fucking talents.
Yeah, he says he heard it on the street.
Nobody knows who Blade Brown is, and he's the most infamous person in town.
Yeah, dude. Like everyone was hearing about him, but no one knew what he.
No one knew what he looked like.
I was like, what?
I believe Blade Brown was a ninja.
Oh, damn.
And got caught.
Maybe he was just locked up for so long they just forgot about him.
But
also he was like a teenager.
Right.
They specifically say he's not 18, so he's 17.
Yeah.
Like, how long was he away for?
He can't have been away for that long. I mean, they had that reputation.
Right. Also, remember he's 30
because he's supposed to be macking it to all these girls, which is why Demita's interested in him in the first place. It's because she heard about him, even though she thinks
that would have to be recent enough.
Yeah, so like, I mean, he can't have been in it for that long. Like, I don't understand how someone could be that infamous and be completely anonymous. Like that's part of what makes me reject this movie, because all that stuff happens early. You start asking all these very serious questions early, and then Pauly Shore shows up, and you go, "Oh fuck it, who cares?"
This is exactly why I picked it. It's why I love this movie. It's because you are fed a plot, and then at the end they're like, "Oh, by the way, now it's fucking over." Nuts. Everything is crazy, and in the middle of it too, you get an anti-drug manifesto.
Yeah.
I was thinking earlier about how you can use Wedge's character arc as a marker for how insane the movie's getting. So like on one end of the spectrum, whenever he's playing it straight, like he's like a big tough guy and you're supposed to be the movie's still relatively grounded, but then by the time you get to the end where he's just like cracking like MCU style one-liners and crying against Mink, like, and you don't take him seriously.
He's a broken man.
Yeah, he's very broken. But like you can totally track the rest of the movie going off the rails with that character progression, I feel.
100% agree. And your boy Mink comes in and is just slap happy. He's just smacking the shit out of this giant idiot.
That poor guy. he like literally hit him every chance he could.
And
he hit him once and then just hit him right afterwards. He was just like clap, and it was like, damn, dog. There's a man behind this actor. You're about to get fucked up.
Also, so Mink's lair that they bring Wedge to torture him, right? It like kind of looks like it's maybe a warehouse or like a subway tunnel until the shots on Mink, in which case he has like this Scarface vaulted ceiling directly behind him and like columns. So like one side is like utter disrepair and then a mansion. I'm just trying to figure out like where the fuck they live.
Just like, it's not like the fucking Penguin's lair in like the second Batman movie. Like, it's like this
they just drove around until they found an empty lot and we're like, oh, they're building something here. Perfect.
We're halfway done.
Guerrilla filming.
Can we use this?
But the Wax Museum, I got to go back to the Wax Museum because
Please.
like all the things they do of like close-ups on all of the wax characters, like there's your Nutty Professor, there's like there's fucking Louis Armstrong. The Louis Armstrong gag is one of my favorite things in the movie.
It's great.
Yeah, it's
Holy
really
shit. I laughed my ass off at that point because I was like, that is fucking like, that's just when you're fully committing to the absurdity of all this. But you know, that brings up a point to me, which is like, we haven't talked nearly enough about the best part of this movie, which
can I?
You can do it.
It's Dougie Doug.
It's fucking Dougie Doug.
He's incredible. He steals the show.
He does. He really does.
This should have been Dougie Doug's movie. This should have just been the Dougie Doug movie. He's more interesting than anybody on that screen. Every time he's on there, he's hysterically funny.
The frog.
Mm-hmm.
The frog.
The frog alone.
Oh God.
Hey, Mr.
It's
Froggy, want a lick? Want a lick?
I thought you was gonna play with my frog. I mean, I'm like beating my bed. I'm laughing so hard at this clown. It was amazing. Oh, he was just perfect.
Oh no, the Buster Douglas line. And like he had so many good lines. And then of course, just like when you first meet him, he's like, "You sit in my favorite seat."
Oh man,
you're sitting in my second favorite seat. That's the kind of shit that happens. Do we
reveal the highlight of my day to the guests?
If you'd like to, I wasn't going to bring it up. It's really it was for you. But if you want,
I know. But I feel like I feel like the world can know about this, or you can cut it later, whatever.
Yeah.
Who are we doing for the trauma?
No, this is anti-trauma. I was having a really awful day.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm gonna be ready for the podcast. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna have joy. It's gonna be great. But I'm really mad today. And Gary got me a cameo from Dougie Doug.
Oh shit!
And he said he opened the cameo with "You sitting in my favorite seat," and I like lost my mind. I was like, "This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me."
Cool.
Shit!
That is the best gift ever.
I'm like, I feel like you have to open up the podcast with the audio of the cameo.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's personal, man. It's personal.
It is.
Oh shit! He's got like details about him.
He talks to me. He really is like Jeff.
It is, and to me too.
Special thing. Nice. Yeah, he's amazing. He talks to Gary as well.
No,
it's incredible.
And then he sings the Cool Running song. It's fucking amazing.
He did sing the Cool. What a cameo.
No,
yeah.
He's quite recently praised on Cameo too. So if you guys, in the spirit of male friendship, if you guys want to get each other cameos, consider Dougie Doug.
Hell yeah! I've always wanted to get a cameo. I've never done it.
Yeah, right. I can't believe they do that. That's cool.
I'm like, dude, I'd be doing it all the time. It's like the actors' OnlyFans. It's like you got nothing going on, just do some cameos.
Like I think Cameo is an interesting thing because you can sometimes watch Cameo and get a little sad about it and just be like, oh man, like what's going on? What are you doing on there? But at the same time, like, I've used it a couple times to give gifts to people, especially in the past 2 years when you can't see anybody. It's like, wouldn't it be nice if you got somebody a Dougie Doug?
That's the first one I ever got, and it was an absolute delight. Much like Dougie Doug in the film. Like every time he shows up, you're like, yes, this scene's gonna be fun.
You see, guys, I don't pay Jeff, so it's
so a cameo.
Gotta give him a little something.
Exactly. Before he starts talking about unionizing or some shit, like we just gotta be able to
unions of unpaid laborers.
There's a lot of people toiling in the cabbages fields. For sure. Okay.
I'm sorry. There's a part where they're talking about money in Class Act, and he's going through all the different slang for money, and he says cabbage. And when I was watching it, I was literally like, roll credits. That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah. Every time you hear cabbage in a movie, you gotta like do a shot.
I was hoping Gary would notice, and I don't think he did.
I was fucking high watching these movies.
I'm not mad at you. You never did.
But like, there was something that really just fucking got to me. The dissertation scene.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier today too. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's like big time.
It transcends the level of the kind of horniness, the pervasive horniness in this movie. God, this is a horny fucking movie.
It's really horny.
It really is.
It's like he is presented.
There's a lot of porno setups, and then nobody bangs.
This is the worst porno I've ever seen. But by that same extension, is like he stays up all night to like basically like write about cars and engines and shit for a thing that is on human reproductive behavior. So, and then only when it comes to the very end is it prompted that like, oh, because where do people have sex?
Right.
Like, but like that wasn't his intention. Like, there's something that's fucking fried my brain in that moment of just like, there's no way that you get from that point A of I come home from being out at clubbing all night to stay up until the early hours to work on this presentation about cars for my dissertation on human sexuality. Like, did Cronenberg write this shit? What the fuck is happening?
The depth and quality of the script has been covered, Gary. We understand.
This is fucking Kid and Play's Crash.
Doesn't count that they bring it back when Hillary from Fresh Prince is like, oh, I want to like do something wild, and she hands him the condom. And then he's like, come on. And he takes her to the car.
Oh, yeah, she gets off that one line.
And I was like, oh, shit. Like, they're bringing it back.
It's a weird joke to decide to bring back because it's like, you know what I mean? They were like just double down, I guess.
I can just see the writers like, oh, yeah, like, that's exactly what should happen. Like, they're like, fuck, yeah, we're just fucking writing it. You know, like
there's like a mountain of drugs next to them. They're like, you know, we bring back the car.
Right.
They just have the Bill O'Reilly moment where they're like, don't write it, we'll just do it live.
I mean, look, that explains what the actual ending of this movie, you know, where suddenly they're in a dead white space talking to the camera for the first time in this entire fucking movie. Like
Bugs and Daffy.
That's the idea of just like, we don't know how to end this movie. We have no idea. So we're just gonna like suddenly now Kid and Play are talking to you, the moviegoer.
So
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think they needed it either. Like, I feel like
no, they didn't.
They didn't use it to wrap up any plot points that they didn't wrap up naturally in the movie. They just like, oh, let's put a fucking epilogue on.
They could have ended this movie with kids, parents fucking, but instead they had to cut away to go to this bullshit.
Fair enough. Yeah. What they did do is introduce a bias in the film where this version of the film, with Blade Brown being such sort of a magnanimous dick for most of the film, is told from Pender Hughes's recollections.
Dude, this isn't fucking.
Blade Brown is like, I want to tell you my version of the story, which is probably going to paint him as more of a hero, and Pender more of a jerk.
Dude,
so I wonder how much of this is even real.
Dude, this isn't fucking Rashomon. Calm down.
Okay, but I would love a Lion King 1.5 style where like Blade does tell his side of the story. I don't want a full fucking length of it. I don't want a full length, but give me 30 minutes.
I would like it. I actually would be more interested in Timon and Pumbaa's version of Class Act. The recollection.
To be fair, I would take that. Yeah. I just need more from these characters.
No, I'm done with these characters. I'm fucking done with these characters.
Oh man! All right. I knew you were gonna hate that alternate reality bullshit.
It's fucking nonsense.
I knew it.
Can we just vote? I'm done. We vote.
No, we can't vote. No, there's so much more to talk about.
What do you want to talk about? Jesus.
Okay, let's.
I already know I lost this week. Just fucking go.
Listen. Let's lay it on the fucking line. Okay, I need to know where we stand. Who's the better rapper, Kid or Play?
Oh, that's hard. I was actually
because you've seen even more than we have. Yeah. But in House Party, Play kind of gets played.
Yeah,
a couple times.
He really does.
And then in this one, to me,
like, Play. I thought that Play brought it in this one.
Totally.
In Class Act, he really came in. But I don't know.
He was a much better rapper.
It's hard being in a duo ourselves and me saying what of another duo who's the better rapper.
Right. It feels like it has a little sting to it. But okay, so here
exactly.
That's fair.
I think I have a bias that we all have to acknowledge, is that like Kid is the nerdier of the two, without a doubt. Like he leans into that.
Yeah.
So I almost think that super nerdy aesthetic when he starts rapping and he's actually pretty good, it's like because you don't expect it to come out from him, you give him some points. I feel like some extra points. Are they really warranted from like a technical perspective?
No,
I don't know, but I think
I have an answer for you apparently. Sorry.
But I think that like the aesthetic actually plays into my personal opinion because I think I was going to vote Kid.
Wild. I don't really think that there's an answer per se. I just really I like that question.
How does Kid suddenly have fucking superpowers in this movie? How is this kid who fucking transferred schools because he couldn't pass physical education end up being this like preternaturally gifted football kicker? And how is this same dweeb
played football for Stanford?
This fucking same dweeb able to land that incredible punch in the wax museum?
Yeah, he like flies through the air, like
fucking Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon shit.
It's because he believes in himself now.
A lot of people have cited this movie as like a big influence on Crouching Tiger.
Nobody ever had anything to say about this movie.
I don't. Prove me wrong, Gary. Prove me wrong.
This episode of our podcast is the most anyone has talked about Class Act in the past fucking 20, 30 years. 30 years.
Class Act.
I do want to say I want to see this trope retired. The kid who's good at math can suddenly play sports because of it.
Yeah,
right.
Because I've been seeing considerations like there's one in fucking Drake and Josh where Josh can play pool because he knows how to do geometry. I'm like, we get it, all right. Like nerds can be athletes. Like let's just retire that.
I'm with you. And there's a larger trope at hand there too, where like with sports in general, you don't normally see somebody just immediately become good at basketball, but for some reason they can like kick. They can be a kicker. Like, oh, I played soccer when I was young, so I can kick a football, a totally different shape and weight, 45 yards.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah. I can just do that because it's so easy to do.
It's the kind of thing that you can get away. It's the kind of thing you get away with in an actual cartoon. I've been watching the Lilo and Stitch animated series, and I'm a big Kids in the Hall fan. Kevin McCarthy is in every episode. It's fucking awesome. But there's this episode where like his character, Beakley, he like gets all the sports wrong, like in the sports themed episode, but suddenly realizes that the game that he played on his home planet is identical to basketball. And so actually he's really good at it. I'm like, Jesus.
Right.
Well, it's a cartoon, but it's a cartoon. It's a cartoon.
At least in that scenario, the person had some sort of like experience in a like sport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's
at
also,
least there's something to work off of. This is literally, this kid has never seen a football.
Yeah. He's also one-eyed.
Kick it 45 yards.
He's also a one-eyed alien with two tongues. So like, yeah, I can suspend disbelief, but I've got this I've got this 49-year-old that like fucking guy showing up, like just being like, yeah, I can kick a ball if I lick the wind and throw grass around.
That's exactly right.
Like, but it's,
if I throw grass around.
This is the same movie. This is the same movie that fucking just has like a dog shit splat effect at one point for no reason. And it never there's never any reason why it was mentioned other than I stepped in something. Did you got dogs? This smells, it's a dog shit. Really? Like,
oh yeah, that dog shit moment is kind of crazy.
Like, why is it there?
Yes, these are the things that broke my brain. And again, I have to say, like, having watched this the first time being too high to watch it, and the second time being less, but still pretty high. Like, it was those things, these little things, that just made my brain go, "What the fuck? Why is this?"
There was at times it seemed like the actors or whoever the comedians were allowed to do whatever they wanted.
Right.
Like did they write the Uncle Theopolis bit? No, there's no way that they wrote the Uncle Theopolis.
It's got to be Dougie
Doug.
That
was so funny though.
Dougie Doug did that shit on his own, and it was great.
Yeah, that was too good. They were like, "Come on."
I think on my watch through, I was actually, I think it's interesting because coming off of House Party 2 Class Act, whereas you guys did the opposite. You did Class Act and then House Party.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just so enchanted by what I saw as like an improvement in Kid and Play's like actual performance that I feel like I overlooked a lot of these things until we started talking about it. And then I'm like, oh wait, That is actually kind of fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
No, the movie's not good, and it's not weird. You know, it is weird. And there are things that are just totally inexplicable. Like this dude sits down and listens to like 2 hours of this inmate's story to pass the time, right?
Uh-huh.
And at the end, he's like, hey, the throwaway character in the beginning of this thing with the big boobs, you think I could holler at that?
And he's just like,
and then it's like a central part of the end of the movie. It's like, oh no, they're gonna go to Hawaii like, because she met a man and can just tell the principal what to do for no reason.
I love at the end of the game show when everyone's cheering, the principal goes to like hug her, his assistant, and she's like, "Don't fucking touch me."
Yeah, he gives him the Heisman, and then starts making out with the guard, who is a quick worker.
Yeah, right.
That's not that long after he's let them out of jail.
You know? On the bright side, it seems like her pedophilia is cured, though. So that's a win.
You know, you wipe the sweat from your brow on that one. It's the little victories that make this movie great.
It's fucking propaganda is what it is.
Fucking pigs.
Can we vote? I hate this movie.
You just voted.
I just did. Yeah, I think here's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna just take a step back because it's time to vote, and I'm gonna say my piece. And my piece is fairly simple. I did not go into this thinking this was going to be like a horrendous movie, and it was not a horrendous movie. I came to this movie with expectations based on having watched the first couple House Party movies and my genuine appreciation when I was younger for the music of Kid and Play. So when I go in to watch this thing, I felt like the whole time that this movie was like just not written for them. This was written wrong. It was moving them away from what actually I had enjoyed about them so much that I'm like, ugh. And then it's just the 1,000 little things that I've raised over the course of this episode that just maybe by the end of it, just be like, I have too many questions that make me crazy to be able to call this a good, bad movie. So I'm just going to call it a fucking bad movie.
Hey.
Should I go ahead and vote and then we'll leave it to them?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Oh
yeah. Okay. I'm ready to vote.
Yeah, vote.
I'm looking to you, Gary. Don't turn your back.
Don't look at me.
In my heart and my soul, I believe that I am a class act. Work that body. Work that body, class act. Work that body. Yeah. Work that body.
I've never wished for a video stream on a Zoom call more than I do right now.
You said it, and I heard the art of it. It is art. It's art. My vote's it's a great bad movie.
Ooh.
Is it bad, good movie? Good, bad movie?
Good bad. It's a good, bad movie.
It is, dude. I really like it. It, despite all of its like weird freaking, things that don't make sense, it like didn't matter because I was in it. Like I was on the ride, like it just like took me. I was in the world. I was like they were living with them. So I'm thumbs up in it.
Thumbs up.
Right. So that's two. It's 2 versus 1 so far. Joe.
A lot of pressure right now.
No.
I think because I watched House Party recently and I realized it wasn't as good as I thought it was when I was younger, it shook my confidence in the Kid and Play movies. And I came into Class Act with a really low expectation, kind of opposite of you, Gary. I thought it was going to be shit. And I think I was pleasantly surprised. So despite its occasional problematic messaging, I think it was a good, bad movie.
Well, there you have it.
Sing
Gary,
it.
get the fuck off my show.
Episode over.
Oh.
Class act. Work that body. Work that body. Class act.
Yes.
Class act. Listen.
Got it.
listen.
Mm-hmm.
Listen.
I'm
Your
listening.
argument didn't work, Gary. I was correct. It was the right pick at the right time. The stars aligned on this one. You have to understand. Everything was going my way. There was no way I could lose that one, even with your incorrect pick of bad movie. I was destined to win this week. It was destiny.
It's fine. It's fine.
Is it?
It's fine. I'm fine with it. Like,
Are you?
We're tied now. Fine, we're tied. It's
Work
fine.
that body. Work that body.
That's fine, Jeff.
Classic.
Do you know why it's fine? Do you know why it's fine?
Yeah. Do you want me to quote a couple things? Well, first of all, one of our guests called it a great bad movie.
Okay. Yeah.
One of them went so far as to say Class Act is better than House Party. I'm going to quote that. Better than House Party.
I could not disagree with that more.
Huh. What a shock. The wrong person is wrong again.
It's fine. It's fine. It's an off week. It's not something to be concerned about. And I'm fine with it. I'm okay with this. I'm coming to terms. I'm at peace with this because I know what the next movie is.
Is it Class Act 2?
They didn't make a Class Act 2.
Oh, shit.
It is a sequel of some sort.
Listen, I had to get my gloating in because I get the feeling the dark times are coming.
Well,
this is a never-ending winter for me.
I have to say that having watched like Class Act and Hot to Trot and Tremors, these sophomoric children's movies, essentially.
Okay, first of all, you got to keep Tremors' name out of your mouth if you're not going to identify it correctly. No, thank you.
These sophomoric children's movies that we've been watching, I grow tired of this. I grow tired of these films. I feel like it's time for us to be adults.
Yeah, we're not allowed to have fun on this podcast.
No, we've had lots of fun, Jeff, but I think we can still have fun and watch some movies for grown-ups.
Grown-ups?
Yes.
Oh, no. No, it's not grown-ups, is it?
No, a movie for grown-ups, not the movie Grown-ups, because Grown-ups is not a bad movie. So it would not even qualify for this.
Grown-ups 2 probably is.
Grown-ups 2 is decidedly worse than Grown-ups 1.
Okay.
I will
figure as much.
Oh no, it is. Even though I think they play it like for every hour on the hour at fucking TBS or whatever. Grown-ups 2 specifically. Yeah, I know I saw both of those in the theaters, but no. We're gonna watch a movie for adults this time.
Okay.
And when I say adult, I mean adult.
Oh no.
We are going to watch 1993's erotic thriller Sliver.
Oh, Sliver?
Starring Sharon Stone, William
This
Baldwin,
is a late night HBO specialty, buddy.
And Tom Berenger.
Oh man, I know this film. I've seen this film.
Okay.
Did
you know it has 11% on Rotten Tomatoes?
I cannot believe it's that high. This movie is pure drivel. Just absolute garbage. And it's weird because a lot of people are kind of at the height of their powers. And like, this is what happened to them.
I have been
hard to be excited about this.
I have been looking forward to springing this movie on you for some time. And I've been looking forward to asking you this question.
Fucking move. That's a move.
The question I'd like to ask you is, do you like to watch?
That's the tagline for the movie. I know it is.
Watch this.
Oh. Well, let's do it, man.
It's the Cabbages Podcast Network.